I've been building in Minecraft pretty much since I was a kid, but I started actually taking it seriously in 2020 when I started my Instagram page. I then spent the next 3 years creating well over 1,000 builds, definitely getting better along the way, but I've fallen into a bit of a rut where I kind of just keep making the same houses over and over again. So it's time to address that by building 100 of them. So starting off, let's set our baseline with house number 1 out of 100. Alright, so if you just told me to make a friggin' house and get bloody to it, this one is pretty much what I'd do. I'm not gonna try anything different from my usual style, and it's just so we can get a baseline of where I'm at. Let's get to it. Starting off, I first got some spruce pillars created with a gap of 3 between them, opting for textured stone and stone bricks for the walls and spruce fences for the windows. I added some stairs and trapdoors for details, got the rest of the walls built, and then started on the roof using deep slate bricks for the trim and spruce for the body of the roof. I then went with a dormer on the right side of the roof to add some pizzazzle. Now, there's definitely nothing really wrong with this house, but it's probably the most disruptive builds house you've ever seen, and that's the problem. This house is basically what I default to and build majority of the time, so let's get to changing it up one step at a time. Alright, so for house number 2, I opted to try something super simplistic. No texturing, no depth, less details, and I did this just to see what I could come up with when I was limited to these rules. Now, in the end, we obviously ended up with a less detailed house, but I used some details I wouldn't previously have thought of. Yeah, so as I was building, I was left with this kind of front wall, and it just felt very plain. There's no kind of separation between the bottom floor and then the under roof bit. So I added this little sign kind of like separation here, which I don't even know where that came from. I just kind of thought of it. And then I realized, yeah, we don't really have any lighting on this house. So I tried adding like this kind of stuff beside here, but there's just too many lanterns. This kind of fence above the door with a lantern here. I mean, none of these are really revolutionary. And I honestly don't really know if I like this here, but I think the sign thing is super cool. For this next one, I tried going the complete opposite direction, adding as many details as I possibly could, just cramming this bitch full of them. Honestly, I expected this one to turn out pretty crap, but after playing around with it for quite a while, it ended up being pretty okay. I then tried building essentially the same house, but instead of using pretty much only wood, I went with just stone just to see how I could make it work. I had to get creative and use things I've never tried before, like waxed cut copper trap doors and chiseled tough bricks, and that's exactly why I wanted to try this house. So again, obviously these two houses aren't really the best, like they're pretty over the top compared to my first house here, but I just wanted to see how many details I could kind of cram in one space. And I don't know, maybe I didn't really learn anything from it, but it's just cool to try everything in one house, and honestly, this is a lot better than I thought it would be. This house, oh man, I don't know how I feel about it, but I never ever would have thought to build anything like this before. And well, this video is getting me to try new things, and I'm kind of glad that I tried it and found out that, well, it doesn't really look that good. Alright, now rapid firing through a bunch of random ideas I had to get me trying some different stuff. Firstly, I tried a house without any pillar blocks. For this next one, I used only blocks that I've actually never touched in my frickin' life, and yeah, this one ended up pretty colorful. And then I tried building only in even numbers, my absolute arch nemesis. This one was really difficult. I then decided on torturing myself trying to make a house with no roof at all. This one did not turn out great. And then I felt like trying a house with a roof shape I've never attempted in my life, a fantasy kind of super pointy style. And yeah man, this one ended up taking quite a while as I had to scale up the whole build so the roof didn't look weird, but in the end, I was super happy I tried it. I then felt I had to revisit the no roof base with a slightly different block palette and idea, deciding to slap a farm on top to try and make it more interesting. It's still kind of crap. Okay, now that we've built 10 houses, I just wanted to do like a little bit of like a recap kind of deal, and just try and figure out which one's my favorite. Obviously we do have a big standout here, and I think it's probably my favorite as well. But seriously, just the simple idea of like trying a roof that I've never built before. I mean, it got me to make such a big house, so all the proportions kind of made sense with this roof. And I didn't even realize it's like literally pretty much like a scaled up version of this house right here. But I think this turned out really cool. I really like the simplistic kind of style of it. And it took me a little bit to figure out kind of these window details. And I think like just something so simplistic like this can look really nice, especially from like far away. And if you squint a little bit, it looks better. My least favorite, man, probably this little pile of poo right here. I did want to redo that for this last one in this first 10 houses here. It looks a bit better, but still, man, flat roof, it's not very easy, for me at least. But honestly, these all are still very similar. So my wife actually gave me a pretty good idea, and I think for these next bunch of houses, I'm gonna try and do some like houses that would belong in specific biomes, like a jungle house, forest house. I think we're gonna rapid fire these next, like, oh man, I don't even know how I'm gonna do, but it's time to get bloody to it. All right, first in line, we have the plains biome, of which I went with a mini type of farmhouse with a nice curved roof. Next up, we have the forest cabin, where I tried a stacked log type of wall design, and straight after that, the cherry blossom overgrown moss house thing, which turned out pretty cool. For the birch forest, I decided on trying a modern style house, and for the old growth biome, I decided on a tree house right at the top of a big old tree for something different. You know, I just had to get an adobe type of house for the desert, and honestly really loved figuring out the details for this one. Heading into the swamp, I felt a house over the water on stilts would be fun to try. The block palette honestly gave me some trouble with this one. And into the snowy mountains, I had this random idea for a house right on the slope of the mountain. Yeah, it definitely looked cooler in my head. And for the pale gardens, I went with a mini mansion type of house, and I really feel this style fits the block palette so well. For the jungle, I decided on an elevated platform type of base to get away from the bugs and added plenty of smaller details. And for the dark oak forest, I felt a big manor type of house would be cool. Alright dude, these 10 were super fun to build, dude. I love just like coming up with an idea in my head on what would fit the biome so like perfectly. Also, this modern house, dude, I built this with no reference, and honestly I think it turned out, well, it's all right, I think. Some of these are better than others, like, well, man, definitely this one needs some kind of freaking, you know, one of these thingamajigs. Man, I can't believe I forgot that. That's way better. I've never used the pale blocks before, and I think this house looks pretty cool. I love the contrast between the white and the black kind of blocks. And yeah, this dark oak forest house, like a dark cottage. I had this idea in my head with these trapdoors facing each other, and I don't know, I really wanted to make it work. It's definitely a very unique design. But yeah, here is our platform so far, coming along very nicely. Man, we're only 20% of the way done, and I've already spent like, I don't even know, like 5 hours on all these, man. But for these next 10, I felt like we could probably do some different themes. So stuff like medieval, modern, futuristic. I'm definitely gonna try a bunch of styles I haven't really tried in years or not tried at all, and well, it's time to stop putting it off and get bloody to it. Okay, so I started off pretty easy here with a medieval house, nothing too crazy, but next up I tried something I've never done before, Victorian Gothic. Next in line was a modern house using a reference image. I specifically wanted something different from those angular houses. And for futuristic, I built this weird thing. Continuing on, it was time for an overgrown kind of house. Honestly, this one was cool even without the leaves. And then onto cottagecore, this one built with a reference image that I really loved, but was definitely a challenge trying to replicate in Minecraft. And dude, I have not built a Japanese style anything in like 4 years, so this one was really tough. But moving on to a fantasy style house using a reference image I can't find anymore. I then decided to go all out on this final one, a manor type of giant house thing using reference from the first picture on Google Images. The most challenging part of this one was definitely finding the right block palette. Alright, the keen-eyed among you might have realized that that's actually only 9 houses, and it's because I accidentally built 11 of these biome houses because I kind of miscounted. The 10th theme I had anyway was ruined, which is kind of stupid anyway, so it all worked out in the end. But yeah, most of these I did build using reference. This one, man, this one turned out, I mean, it's interesting, definitely. A lot of these are just kind of crap, like this futuristic one, man, I kind of just gave up on that. I don't even know. I really do like how this one turned out with this. I just love this cobblestone area. I don't want to talk about this. I really like how this one turned out. I love these like windows with the yellow kind of backlighting in there. And man, this manor with this, this one was a lot of fun to build. But yeah, a really cool tip if you have the Axiom mod, trying to find blocks that are similar to these ones. What you can do is when you press E, go to color picker, and then you have this giant thing. You don't really have to worry about any of these like weird things in here. But if you have a block and you want to find blocks that closely match it, you just click it on this little color picker and it'll give you blocks that match. So that's how I got the packed mud. I don't know where I got the terracotta from. There we go. I did that and then got, actually no, that's brown mushroom blocks. Okay, maybe those would, yeah, those actually look way better than the terracotta. No way. Okay, so now I'm just replacing all of the terracotta with, oh no. That is not good. No, I replaced it with mushrooms instead of the block. Oh my God, that looks so much better. All right, well, that got me thinking for these next 10 houses, we could use this feature, this color picker thing from Axiom. I'm pretty sure it's from Axiom. So maybe we could do 4 houses using complementary colors, like kind of like this house here. So colors opposite on the color wheel, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we could do a couple where it's like a neutral color plus an accent color. So maybe like stone, and then we do like a nice like blue roof or something. I don't know. I feel like this is probably going to be a pretty challenging one, but it could look cool having all the different colors. So let's get to it. Alright, so for our first 3 houses here, I went with basically one monochrome color and then a nice bright color just to see how it'd look, with the first one obviously being black and blue, and with this next one being gray and orange. Man, this one, I really don't want to talk about it. It looks straight out of SpongeBob or something, dude. I then started on the complementary colored houses, first going with pink and lime green. Next on the color wheel was orange and like a regular green. I don't really know the name of it. Dude, this one for purple and yellow, honestly, turned out pretty good, I reckon. Holy crap. And then I just kind of got even more wacky with it, doing a combined red and green building with purple roofs. I then decided on trying a deep red building with a full black roof, which kind of goes crazy. And then I tried like a wizard tower house using white, blue, and red with red accents. And then to finish it off, I just went with a monochrome house. Honestly, I really don't know how to feel about all of these houses. A lot of them are very, very wacky and did not really turn out well. But honestly, it was really fun playing around with different colors. Like, I'm such just like a wood and stone guy. I just never, ever would have tried this stuff in my life. Honestly, I think this is definitely my most favorite here. This just such contrasting colors with the pure black roof looks so cool. I do really like this one too. And this one as well is a little bit more simplistic. But yeah, man, some of these, wow, I really did just want to scrap some of them. Like this wizard tower, the roofs are cool. I don't know how I feel about the rest of it. This house, man, I kind of just gave up on this one. But yeah, I think it is time to move on from colored houses. I definitely don't think I'm a colored kind of house person. And I think for this next strip of 10 houses, I'm going to play around with the shape tool in Axiom here. We've got all kinds of shapes over here, man. Like, what the fuck is a Doris, brother? What the hell? Okay, it's like a big donut. Now, I definitely do want to get like a spherical kind of house. We're going to do a tube and a pyramid, I think. And then I think for the rest of them, I'm going to keep it like rectangular, but I'm going to just try like a bunch of different shapes. Like I'm going to plan out like, I don't know, I'm just going to go crazy with it, okay? All right, so first in line is the old half sphere glass house here. I felt this one kind of needed an interior, and I followed that up with the pyramid, of which I angled slightly for something a bit more interesting, as well as adding a bunch of wood accents. Next in line was the cylinder, and logically, I just went for a fortified medieval tower kind of base. I then pretty much just started doing random combinations of shapes at this point. Sometimes I just slapped some random blocks on the ground and tried making it into a house and seeing what I could come up with on the fly. I really enjoyed combining multiple houses together at different heights using different shapes like rectangles and cylinders, so I played around with those a couple times until finishing up with what looks essentially like a giant stone turd. Alright, man, and there we have it. We have officially hit the halfway mark, and man, is this taking a lot longer than I thought. I think I'm at like day 4 or 5 of recording all this now. But yeah, dude, I think this might be the most fun row of houses that I've made so far. I really love playing around with the shapes. Like, dude, this angled pyramid, if you want to know how I did that, with Axiom, you just go pyramid, slap him down, and then you can just use this to like rotate it a little bit, and just, you get these like really interesting shapes. And I just felt like trying to make a base out of that, and I think it turned out pretty freaking cool, to be honest. Now, I know a lot of these houses are very small and kind of basic, and that's on purpose, mainly because of, well, this is already taking a lot longer than I thought, so I really don't have a lot of time to kind of flesh out each of these bases into something truly like awesome. I mean, I kind of did go overboard with a couple of these bigger standout houses here. But dude, I didn't even like realize I was doing this. Like with this roof, I was kind of like going like lighter to darker to like super dark. And I feel like I learned that literally just in this row back here with like all the different color theory stuff. So like I'm already like kind of just subconsciously doing things differently just from like what I've learned building all of these other houses. But actually just glancing at all of these, I'm kind of going back to, you know, my original problem where I'm not really using many different things, like different blocks. I'm mainly like, a lot of these are just kind of stone, deep slate, wood, except for like this one where it's sandstone. So I think what I'm going to do for this next row is specifically build each house with a different block palette every time. I'm just gonna scroll through this list and just pick a specific block to kind of base each house around. So let's get to it. I decided to warm up with a bit of a stone and tough block palette here with some spruce accents, immediately following it up with a brick, granite, and polished granite palette with a deep slate roof for contrast. I then decided to break out of my comfort zone and try a colored palette with dark turquoise, red, and cream colored accents. For this house, I used mangrove and found that cherry wood and deep slate made for some great accenting blocks. And man, this house went through a lot of different block changes until it was looking decent. Next in line was a mud and pale blue kind of block palette, again just experimenting with colors here. And now back to some regular palettes. I was interested in combining the lightest and darkest wood types together, and then I went wacky again and tried a couple of sandstone townhouses with prismarine roofs. I then felt like trying some gradients, first with a dark to light tower design, and then finished up this row with a sideways blue gradient house that I probably should have just scrapped but wanted to try it. Alright, well this row, honestly, I think this row of houses overall turned out looking the nicest, but I think they might have been the least fun for me to build. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's because I started building today at like 9 o'clock and it is now 5 p.m. and I've built 20 houses in that time. Man, this video is a lot more time consuming than I thought it would be. But yeah, honestly, I think all of these look great. I think I kind of messed it up at the end here. I just started playing around with gradients. This one, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about the gradient. It's too just all over the place. These were both made using the gradient painter tool with Axiom, by the way. This isn't by hand, which I don't know. I'm a bit too lazy to do it by hand. But yeah, dude, I haven't seen anyone do a sideways gradient before. And man, I probably shouldn't have gone as wacky with like a blue theme with that for it to look good. I probably should have gone with this blackstone to like diorite color palette for this to look better. But yeah, dude, I think I'm done for the day. You guys will see me next when it's tomorrow. And I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for this next strip of houses.
All right, it is tomorrow. I am bloody vigorated. Got me bloody coffee in hand, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking for this next row, okay, let's do some like roof studies. I think I've pretty much gotten like mainly like 3 types of roofs built. We've got the classic signature, you know, slabs into stairs here. We've got the regular stair roof, which always works well. And then I've been doing this one as well, where I kind of like use main blocks and then have slabs on the edges. And so, man, I don't even know how I'm gonna think of 10 different roof designs. I might have to look up some reference and stuff because, man, I don't think I'm that creative to come up with a lot of my own, but we'll see how we go. All right, let's get to it. Alrighty, Roger. First in line, I had the idea to do a double slanted roof and actually try to make it look good. Next, it was onto a house with a big stinking slanted roof with a bit of a flat garden on top for something a bit different. I then felt like a mud brick house with a pure deep slate combined kind of roof would look cool, so I tested it out. I really like those houses where like the shed and main roof are combined, so I tried one of those too. At this point, I started using reference from some real life images, starting with this Thailand style house. I then found this very strange open roofed house with some interesting windows, so I tried replicating that too. I then found this really cool open style house with a very interesting slanted roof and a tree in the middle of it all. This image inspired me to try something very different with some super pointy style roofs that I'm not sure I ended up liking. I also wanted to try redeem my previous failed flat roof attempts with a nice modern house design. And to finish off this row, I tried a super pointy roof, low set fantasy type of house with some simplistic details. Alright, we now have 70 houses all done. Man, these roof experiment houses were actually so much fun. It was kind of crazy. And honestly, I think all of these look really good. Like, I don't think... Oh, okay. Maybe except for this. There's always one, man. There's always one house that looks like crap compared to everything else. But honestly, a lot of these like look really good to me, in my opinion. And there was so much fun to do as well. Like this row and this row with all of the different shape experiments was so much fun. And yeah, honestly, I think this is probably my favorite row of houses now. Oh my God, I just thought of the perfect idea for this next row. Diagonal bloody houses. Oh my God, I have been delving in the diagonal houses recently. I mean, not going too hard, but I think it is time to try and refine the old diagonal house skills here and get a full frickin' bricked up row of diagonal bloody houses. I'm gonna try, yeah, I don't even know. I'm just gonna go crazy with it, all right? Let's get started. Okay, I decided on starting off easy and warming up with a simple diagonal house, nothing too fancy. I then wanted to try one only at a slight bit of an angle, which honestly turned out great and wasn't too difficult. And then I went overboard creating a sort of curved house. Honestly, I don't know how to describe it other than an abomination. Next in line was a longer old style medieval house with a different type of roof I felt would look great diagonal. I then thought I'd try a regular diagonal house, but also include a diagonal tower protruding out of the top. I then started playing around with the shape tool with Axiom, rotating them 45 degrees to get our diagonal shape, and I first started with this tower and then moved on to a weird cross-shaped amalgamation of houses. Next I tried to combine 2 smaller houses both at different angles and heights, which turned out pretty cool. I realized I hadn't tried just a singular sloped diagonal roof yet, so I tried it on this house, and for the last one I copied the previous one I just built and flipped it to create one big diagonal house. Oh man, this one was tough. As you can see, we've definitely got a couple of cop-outs here. This one was definitely a struggle. So yeah, you can see I kind of copied our first house over here to make this thing, which man, again, it looked a lot better in my head. And then this one here as well, I felt we could probably just duplicate it
you know, and make a pretty cool looking house, which it does. It does actually look pretty cool, both of these. But yeah, man, this one was really tough to do. I kind of hate diagonal houses. All right, well, honestly, I had a lot of fun back here with the shape experiments kind of row. So I think for this next row, I want to do it like a slightly different take on this, where we kind of build every house with like a weird like floor plan, I guess. So I guess the idea is that I'm just gonna randomly place down blocks like this and just make some, I don't know, some very strange shapes and just try and make a house out of each one and just see what I can do with that, pretty much. Starting off, I simply built up a weird ass shape and tried to connect it all together with a big roof, which did look kind of cool. I then repeated the process with a classic medieval house, which didn't really end up that wackily shaped in the end somehow. I then had this idea for an acacia house with 2 attached shed things, which I think looks interesting. I then wanted to try some more reference-based builds, as they're always fun, starting with this unique modern style house. After finishing up the entrance and driveway, I then had a random idea to make a crazy tower base, with the first one looking like poo, and the second not really turning out how I wanted because I was too scared to go overboard with it. I then returned to the random shapes idea, this time adding some more height variation, which I think turned out great. I then found this reference for an all glass type of house I used mainly as inspiration, definitely trying some wackier shapes. I then tried out another mud house, possibly my new favorite building block, and tried out more height variation with this one. I then found this super cool reference image. I just had to try remaking in Minecraft as soon as I saw it. I honestly love this weird house. Oh my god, dude, we're at 90 houses built. Dude, this house, I don't know what it is about it. I really just want to flesh this out and try and make it into a full thing. And that actually gives me the idea for maybe for this last row of 10 houses, we can go all out, no limitations, no weird restrictions or ideas or anything. I just try and make some really cool, good looking, interesting houses, okay? And honestly, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is try again with this reference image of this house and make it like bigger and more accurate to the reference, because I don't know what it is about it. It just looks so futuristic and cool. Like, honestly, I want to live there in real life, mate. So without further ado, let's get into the final 10 mother humping houses. Okay, back to this weird house I really want to live in. I definitely wanted this second attempt to better capture its essence, with the only thing holding it back is kind of the lack of interior. I then wanted to try another one of these bases with big towers on either side, and I really wanted to make this one look good, so I made sure to change anything I didn't like. Now it was time for redemption on all the tower bases I previously made, with this new one being a wizard tower, complete with a second little tower and a bridge leading over to it. I then moved on to another redemption build for the diagonal houses, this one being a combination of everything I felt I did right across all 10 houses from the diagonal row. Next up was my attempt to make a wooden style modern house without using any reference. I then wanted to try a house with a roof type and blocks I enjoyed from previous ones, and then I had the idea to try a barn build. It is technically a house for animals, so it counts to me. I wanted to try out some more colored builds, these ones being townhouses of sorts, which probably would have looked better if there was more than 3. I then had the idea of a base with a big platform at the front, so I built this one as quick as I could to match the idea in my head. And now for the final 100th base, I used probably my new favorite block palette and just tried to make the nicest house I could. Holy smoking dog doodles, we have done it. Look at that. 100 houses has been completed. Now there's a couple of things I want to do real quick. The first of which is check my stats here. I want to see how long it took me to build all of these. Time played 0.83 days. Let me get the frickin' calc up real quick. Okay, so that is just about 20 hours in total. And I just checked as well, I started recording 6 days ago. So it's taken me 6 days to build all of these. And you know, that 20 hours isn't including, you know, looking up a reference and all the editing and everything. So it's probably closer to 30 to 40 hours, I'd say. But yeah, dude, I started this out honestly thinking that doing this wouldn't really improve much. I just thought it was going to be a really cool idea and maybe smash it out in like 2 days, you know. But man, holy crap, did I learn a lot on the way. I have full goosebumps covering every inch of my body right now. This was honestly the most fun video I have recorded in a very long time. And man, did I learn so much. Like, honestly, I've got so many more blocks that I'm going to be using. Like, I mean, I would really like to use end stone, but I'm not going to the end any bloody time soon. I'm telling you that much. But yeah, dude, I highly recommend doing this yourself if you want to try improving at anything, pretty much. It's just repetition and just learning along the way. And yeah, dude, if you want to download this world and explore every single one of these houses and just, you know, use them for yourself or whatever, be sure to check out my Patreon, as the download will be up over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.